Hi guys, welcome to How to Be a Travel Writer with Alyssa Pinsker. I'm Alyssa Pinsker, and we're going to just talk for 30 minutes as an introduction on how to become a travel writer. So first of all, I am in Cabo San Lucas at a resort called Hacienda del Mar, and it's right over the ocean. This is actually the Sea of Cortez, and a little bit further is the Pacific Ocean. Yesterday we went whale watching. This is our fifth day, and I was invited as an influencer to document my stay here. So we'll talk about that a little bit later about how to get that yourself. A little about me in case you're not familiar. My name's Alyssa Pinsker. I was named one of the top 15 travel writers in the world by Roy Stevenson in his book Rockstar Travel Writers. I have been published as a travel writer in Lonely Planet, Fodor's, BBC, Cosmopolitan, and more. Before that, I was an essayist since 2007, and since 2015, I have been primarily working as a travel journalist. I was a correspondent on BBC America, Huffington Post Live. I had a blog for Huffington Post for around 10 years called Being Abroad. I've lived in Switzerland, France, India, and Ukraine and Japan as my former life as a teacher. I have my master's in education and was a teacher for over 10 years. I am a coach, speaker on the subject of travel, and as a travel journalist, I have partnered and been sponsored to places like Dubai, Australia, the Solomon Islands, most of the Caribbean, Mexico. And as an influencer, I've worked with Visit Florida for Clearwater, Sarasota, and Central Florida, Ski Utah, Vail Resorts, Visit Grand Lake, this resort in Mexico, Sandals, Jamaica, and many more. I've probably been published in around 50 magazines and have hundreds of articles under my name. I'm also a model and influencer, and so that's my knowledge background on this. And I broke into this, as I said, in 2015. I could not figure out how to become a travel writer. I did figure out how to get published with my mentor's formula that I now teach. It's the top-down, New York Times down formula to get published in top-tier magazines. And after kind of begging and pleading, I took a lot of classes, asked a lot of people, and I will tell you sincerely, this is coveted goods. It's not shared a lot, and for good reason. I remember I took a class with a travel writer, and at the end I said, "But how?" He said, "Just email PR." And I said, "Who?" He said, "Just PR." And well, I mean, and that I'm just like you as a beginner. What on earth does that mean, right? So it took me until 2015, and I've been trying since maybe 2010 to break in. But I never thought I could live full time. I never thought I could quit my job as a teacher. I never thought any of this was possible. So, and now it's my daily life. So what is a travel writer? So first of all, a travel writer is either full-time staff at a magazine. Let's say you work as it's called an editor, which is means writer, but you're editing that column. So say you're a writer-editor at Condé Nast Travel. Okay, then you have a staff position. You're there full-time. You're a travel writer. The drawback or irony to that is that it is a desk job. It's a 9 to 5, 10 to 6. I worked at Condé Nast in New York. And unfortunately, you can't really take a press trip. And we'll talk more about what a press trip is later. But let me just clarify that right now. A press trip is when a location, maybe an entire country like Dubai, um, a city like Nashville, or a location like this hotel, or a restaurant, invites you as a journalist to document them. If it's an entire country, let's say Visit Dubai, that is government funded often. Let's say Visit Philadelphia is also government funded. It's this Convention and Visitors Bureau. So it's partially government. And then the other half is often a private PR, public relations firm that they also partner with. So Visit Florida works as their government entity, and then they partner with a private PR firm that usually the PR firm or government agency invites travel journalists. How do they know? How do they find you? We'll talk about that later, how to get on the list. So you can see that they're inviting us and not the other way around. And they'll invite you. So if it's a destination, you'll have a whole experience there, and you can often request your beat or your preference. So I cover luxury, wine, solo female travel. I used to cover a lot more entrepreneurship simply because it interests me. So whatever your beat is just your hobby, what you're passionate about. And so if Visit Florida invites you, you're going to say, okay, well, I want to cover, I would like to see, I'd like to hit fine dining, wine, culture, art, and an implicit, part of their job is to pick the best of. And that's why I love press trips so much, because even if I was a billionaire, I could not get the access and the type of trips that I get as a travel journalist or influencer, because I'm often meeting the owners, the chefs, the movers, the shakers, the builders, the doers, the access. And that's where you are literally marked VIP. So you are VIP because you're a very important person. You are a press or influencer. So they'll mark you VIP, which of course they'll treat you quite nice. And secondly, you'll get access to things that, obviously there's no lines. There's no waiting in line. There's no kind of these daily indignities that some people hate to travel. And I can see why you would hate to travel if you traveled on a budget. I used to, obviously, we all did, that backpacking, and there's some wonderful parts to it, but the parts that no one likes is the waiting in line, uncomfortable airport seats, and I think mostly just crowds. So when you're on a press trip, like this press trip, I do not wait in line, okay? Everything is tailored to me and my plus one having the best experience, because they want to show us the best, and it's fair. So my next on the itinerary, I was explaining that there's a staff writer, but they often can't travel. They can't take a week off of their 9 to 5 to travel. And there's a freelancer like me. You write for a variety of publications, and you have the flexibility to travel unless you are a teacher or have a remote job, some sort of flexibility. And then there's the old-fashioned model that a lot of people think still exists, where you are employed by a magazine, let's say the Denver Post, and the Denver Post sends me out to write reviews. I don't tell anyone who I am because I'm paying for that. So that's the secret shopper, secret diner, secret reviewer. And unfortunately, that does not exist so much anymore because publications can't afford that budget. So there is a barter happening. The barter is, here's a free trip, everything covered, flight, tips, excursions, restaurants, and as I said, you can make requests. Well, I'd like to try Nobu while I'm here. And that is covered in exchange for coverage. How do you become a travel writer? So, as I said, this was very coveted goods. I finally joined some elite organizations online for travel writers, and through 7 or 8 years, plus since 2007, so almost 15 years, I accumulated a Rolodex. My Rolodex is now for sale. It's called Mega Rolodex. The Facebook group that launched my career, I finally opened it to the public, and that's all available at alissapinsker.com. Mega Rolodex, and I'm calling it the Get Published Club, which is my personal Facebook group that launched my career, that I founded. It's a secret organization, but I founded this in 2015, and so have many others. So it's almost like, let's say, a sorority. Here's some that I can name that are not private. The Society for Travel Writers, okay, SATW. Check them out. As a beginner, you won't be able to get in yet, but Trav Media. Sign up for travmedia.com. It's similar to my Facebook group where you're connecting PR, so PR for Australia, with journalists and influencers, and then with editors, of course. So we journalists are pitching editors, PR is pitching us, and when you're a blogger influencer, you're a little bit pitching yourself outwards to PR. Do you get paid to travel the world for free? So I'm just going through these frequently asked questions. As an influencer or blogger, yes, you are absolutely paid a lot of money. Bloggers make most of their money from ads on their website. Influencers get paid by the PR agency. Travel journalists get paid by the magazine. Magazines pay anywhere from 0 to an average of 500, but I think that 150 is a very common range, 250. So, can you be a six-figure travel journalist? Sure, if you write for publications that pay $2 a word. Some of the publications like that are airline magazines. And if you're very proficient, other people just do it as a hobby. I recommend keeping a day job in the beginning and a flexible day job where this is just a very, very glamorous hobby, but it's a six-figure hobby because the experiences are absolutely 1% experiences. What happens if you don't like the destination? Someone has asked me that. I say nothing because I'm highlighting the best of. It's a positive piece, and I might just say, when I reviewed a bunch of 50 hotels for all of Philadelphia for Fodor's, I would put something like, please note they don't include water. Or I think they actually had a cons, so it'd be like, cons can get loud in the evening. Depends on the publication. If it was a blog and I was being paid, no, I would not list the negatives. I would just focus on the positives. That's me. It's a personal choice. Who allows press trips, meaning magazines? The New York Times does not. So if you notice, I'm not published in the New York Times. I transitioned to a travel writer without really landing in the New York Times. I might still try one day for maybe, there's a particular column called Modern Love or the Tiny Love Stories. Lonely Planet asks that you disclose Lonely Planet magazine. BBC does not allow press trips. I wrote for BBC. I did not take a press trip. I was living in India, and so I documented the community there. A press trip, again, is also called a FAM, a familiarization tour, also called a press junket. Basically, they're saying, hey, let's get a bunch of, either a solo, private FAM, or a group, bunch of journalists, which I particularly enjoy because I love meeting my colleagues. We always have fun together. You make lifelong friends, and we can exchange tips too. So I love group press trips, and also you can bring a +1 even on your group press trip. So this trip I have a +1. It happens to be my mother, and I could go alone or I could bring a +1. A group press trip as well. I can bring a +1. What if I like adventure travel and not luxury? So I like luxury. If you like adventure travel, then you pick that, or you tell Visit Florida, hey, I want to document adventure travel, and then you'll rappel and kayak and all that stuff. People write about what interests them. You know, I could not write about something if it wasn't an interest of mine. How do you get on the list so that destinations pitch you? So as a travel journalist, I am on the list. There are literal lists. First of all, there is a VIP list. As I said, like when I'm visiting, I'm marked VIP or a guest of the government. When I visited Morocco, I was literally, because as I said, the government sponsored it. Visit Morocco, the government. I was a guest of the government, and that came up because I had a little incident where I accidentally got left at the tea salon. It's a long story, but luckily I spoke French, and I said, I'm a guest of the government, and they just dropped me at the police station, and the organizer picked me up. So basically, we were on a bus all over Morocco. It was luxury, but it was also luxury and culture. It was Jewish Morocco, and they didn't notice I wasn't on the bus, and it was about an hour. But interesting experience, and that's not a typical experience. Okay, don't get scared. That's a very unusual experience. It's interesting because there are no contracts, and I always, what if you break your arm or something? It's and I've never signed anything. I think that a country recently asked me to sign. If I was a PR agency, I would probably, make it super explicit. What I mean by it is the exchange. Like, what are we doing here? For example, I had to cover Aruba for Business Insider, and Aruba. So in that case, I asked them, which of course, just socially, it's always better to be courted than court. But so I said, I'm coming, and I have guaranteed coverage. That comes up later. I'll explain that process. And they said, sure, we'd love to have you. It was this absolutely beautiful 5-star resort. We had a lovely dinner. And then they sort of, I think, there's a lot of etiquette going on. Nobody wanted to just say, by the way, you gotta pay. But finally it came out that they expected me to cover all my food there, which is not possible if it's a resort that's like probably $500 dinners. So we renegotiated to make sure that was covered. So what I'm talking about here is an exchange. It's a barter. It's, you stay, we cover everything, and you write about us. Now, how do they guarantee on their end, which makes perfect sense, how do they guarantee that they get coverage? Well, they often say, sure, we'd love to invite you to Aruba, to Curacao, in exchange for coverage, and what we need from you is a letter from your editor. The letter from the editor would say, it'd just be, a casual conversation when you're pitching the editor, and I say, yes, I'd like to publish that. The problem with that is, if Aruba invites you, they usually give you a month's notice max. And often that's not enough to 100% secure a letter from the editor. So if places are, sorry, I just lost the screen. So oftentimes, I will simply explain, I don't have enough time, I'll pitch, and I'll let you know when I place it, and a lot of times that's good enough. It would help to have some clips under your belt. Clips means that you're published a few times. If you can get a letter from the editor. And a fourth, I don't think I discussed this, but is beginners. This is probably what I did without realizing it, but like I said in India, and one of my clients, what beginners do is they're traveling anyway. I just met a lovely couple here. They were so cute. They were like in their 70s, and they were YouTubers, and they're doing it on their dime. So, but they just thought, why not? And it was really cute. It was a great idea. She does a little cooking show. He does some underwater filming. So if, like me, before I was a travel writer, you're traveling all the time anyway. I was a teacher, and I was just travel every chance I could. Or I was living in Japan, Switzerland, France, India, Ukraine. Then that's a great way to start. And that's also a great time if you want to start a blog. So same thing. So if you're traveling anyway, then you can pitch all those stories. Those stories are good, I would say, for an entire year. I would give an entire year to say that it's good. You can go fact check. And so that's another way to get started. How to get on the list? Yes, there are lists. Trav Media is an example of a list. You're in the system. There's a database that once you get a few clips, you add your name to that database and you will be pitched every day as a journalist. So email me for the name of that database. You would need you need to be published in top magazines. Mid is okay too. In my group, I say 3 mid-level clips or 1 top clip, and you're into the group, which again is the Get Published Club Facebook group that I'm now is open to the public. Now, blogging and influencing. Okay. I myself am both. I'm newer to the influencing and blogging world, but because I have a modeling background, it makes perfect sense for me. I did have blogs when I lived abroad too, but they were really just for fun. I'm very glad I did that. One of the best things I did was to keep a blog in Japan because, and that was back in 2000, oh my gosh, I don't know, it was a really long time ago. I can't even remember. I think it was 2003. So, by keeping a blog, that was awesome because it was all there, and then later when I wanted to publish stuff, it was just nicely documented. And that's how I became a travel journalist too, is I was writing that blog, and back then people would send emails, like a letter. Remember them? So it'd be like, hey, and my friends and family were like, this is so vivid, this is so good, I can really picture it, and they found it fascinating. And that's what's cool no matter, people are very adaptable. You'll see if you ever live abroad. And, like already I'm used to Mexico, like this is my daily life. But it's just our daily life, and yet it's absolutely fascinating if you're stuck in your 9-to-5 golden handcuff job. So that's why we all, all of us here, we all love travel. And so I was talking about blogging and influencing. Okay, it's totally different. It's super similar, but it's funny because even the words mean different things, and people mix it all up, like pitching and PR and publishing and publisher. It's like the same words, media, but they mean different things. So mostly I know, my expertise and my background is traditional, writing for magazines. If I'm writing a book, I would get an agent and I would write for Penguin Random House. That's how I write. I've written in 3 anthologies. One is Smith Publishing, the other 2, I have to double check. I think one is self-published by the author. But I myself never self-published, and self-publishing, blogging, influencing, that is all self-publishing. You're doing everything. Writing for magazines, you have an editor, you have an agent. So self-publishing, blogging, and influencing. As I said, bloggers get paid by their ads, and then they start to say, okay, if you want me to write about you, I charge $10,000. Influencers get paid for the quality of their social media, which is like, I don't think anybody is just on Instagram. They are often on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and Facebook. Me, I post on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I've been starting with YouTube, but it's often the same content, and that's fine. You're just gonna post the same content, and you must have a blog, and that blog is often the same content. So totally different. It's all about your followers. What's a follower? So like, let's say you have 50,000 followers. Well, Huffington Post has 9 billion readers. That's why a travel journalist is more respected and treated better, to be honest, by PR. Except when an influencer starts to get maybe, let's say, I'm trying to think of my friends who have, I think 1 million is when you start to really get treated really well, 100K minimum, and they're cultivating that, you're cultivating that with followers, as I said, which is the equivalent of readers, and impressions, which is the equivalent of readers, and reach. So think about a magazine. You can figure this out by reading a media kit. As I said, like somewhere like Huffington Post or BBC or Matador Network is like 9 billion, and then it'll break it down. This is Google Analytics. You can find that information, or for magazines, just look up Media Kit. Just a few more minutes. Just looking at my notes. So it's all about when you post, it's all about engagement, it's all about different ways to get your audience engaged. Times to post, DMing. One thing I learned is never boost your campaigns. This is my opinion. Go organic, get an organic reach, because if you start to, which it's totally legit to pay for a Facebook ad to boost, you'll have to do that for every single post for the rest of your career, which many people do. So, but if you're getting paid $10,000 and 500 of that goes to, or even paying experts in this field, honestly, that is data and analytics. It's very complex. Then I would say that's absolutely worth it. So I think that blogging and influencing, paradoxically, can actually cost you money in the beginning. Just get your website up, and so you might, but it pays very well. At the time of this video, we're in 2022. Influencers that I know make around an average of 10,000 per post. And of course, celebrities can make more. I think I read Kim Kardashian made 50,000 or something for a post. So highly lucrative. Okay, so we have about 2 more minutes. This is the pre-recorded version of our live. So I'm going to cover any questions I missed. VIP access, we discussed. You are literally VIP. Green M&Ms only riders. That was a joke about how celebrities have a rider and they say, okay, I only want white flowers, I want green M&Ms. But the experience is like that, which is awesome. You get access to the chef. You get on the list. People start to right. Once you're on the list, it's not just press trips, but you'll be, mailed all sorts of fun products. I've been mailed those Forever Roses, jewelry. I cover wellness. I love beauty and wellness, so you get lots of samples to write about. In the bigger cities like New York and LA, you could every night of the week you could go out to a really fun press event where they try to make it fun. Like it's a dinner and with swag bags, all about a certain beauty product, or even this all about Visit Miami. That was just an example. Come to a dinner with Latin food and have a swag bag. So every night of the week you could be courted by press. They'll even send Ubers for you, cocktails, dinners. As I said, make lifelong friends from other influencers and journalists, and then the people in these fields, just VIP contacts around the world. And as I said also, you could choose to use all these lessons to learn how to publish in top tier magazines, or how to become a blogger influencer. So that's my little how-to primer. And please let me know if you have any questions. I highly recommend my class, How to Get on the List. It's at alyssapinsker.com/coaching. I highly recommend my Mega Rolodex to pitch editors. I recommend the Get Published Facebook group that launched my career. DM me or email me at info@alyssapinsker.com. Go to alyssapinsker.com and I can give you a 15-minute free coaching primer session. Sign up for my newsletter and you get I love this book. It's called How to Travel the World for Free. It was all about what I did before I became a travel writer. Really clever ways to travel for free, like staying at ashrams and working on cruise ships, and short and long-term ways to travel for free. Obviously, I was a teacher. That's how I traveled the world for free before this. It was awesome. And I made 6 figures. I have a free Facebook group called Share Your Story with the World. And I do absolutely love helping travel writers, people become travel writers. But if you just want to get published in top-tier magazines because you have a beautiful story burning in your heart and your dream is to get published in the New York Times, or if you want your business to get published so that you can be as seen in Forbes magazine, I teach you how to DIY your PR. So my specialty is for you to share your story with the world, live your dream life as a travel writer, traveling and writing your way to VIP for free. And I just want to help you in any way I can. So drop me a line, follow me at Girl Gone Global, Girl Gone Global on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. girlgoneglobal.co is dropping soon, and check it out at alyssapinsker.com. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope you learned something. Talk to you soon.